So I'm 61 years old and I don't want to die yet. So I was just having a brief look at what's causing most people to die at my age, because I think it's important. I think you've got to realise that, you've got to pay attention to this. You may not pay attention to this when you're 25 so much, but once you start getting older, once you start hitting over 60, you've got to really sort of pay attention a little bit to what's going on. And it's actually quite alarming. Most of the time, people are dying from things that are actually preventable. And I'm not talking about people that lose the lottery and get some bizarre disease and it gets them. I'm just talking generally. And you look at the statistics and you realise that it's either your heart, it's dementia, it's cancer, or it's diabetes too. And nearly all of the diseases that are associated with them are preventable. So what makes them preventable? Well, it's what you eat, it's how much you exercise, how much you sleep, and how stressed you are. That's all the causes for those type of fatalities or ways of dying. I don't want to harp on about dying, and I don't want to live forever. I'm not interested in that. But like I've mentioned before, I'm interested in living a life that's fulfilling. I don't want to be old and frail. I don't want to be a liability on people. And these things, I tell you, these things, a little bit like lung cancer, with smoking. They sneak up on you. You don't get lung cancer after a year of smoking. It takes 20 years. It's the same with heart disease and dementia and cancer and all those type of things. Generally speaking, they don't happen overnight. It takes a long time for them to happen. And then suddenly they sneak up on you and you wonder what the hell's going on. So instead of doing that, I've decided, well, I'm going to watch what I eat. And the big thing is the amount that you eat. I'm going to get fit and strong, so that can delay any onset of frailty and, ill health there. And by the way, from what I've found, is if you eat reasonably well and you exercise, you generally sleep pretty good. Nothing better than getting into bed and being physically tired and just going, especially after a dose of magnesium. So I wonder why we don't pay enough attention to these things. I wonder why we don't pay enough attention to exercise. And what do we need to do for exercise? Well, we need to lift weights 3 times a week, and we need at least 10,000 steps in. And maybe even a little bit of cycling and running to add to it. Get your heart rate going, get your heart rate up. Most people over 60, I know, wouldn't even go near it. They wouldn't go near it. And eating, good Lord, the amount of absolute rubbish people eat, the amount of rubbish I eat as well. But I've backed off on all of it. And I've backed off on the amount I've eaten as well. And so what's happened to me is I've built a little bit of muscle. Genetically, I'm not the biggest dude in the world, and I've lost a lot of weight. And I've also started to get a nice shape. Like I've had a dad bod for years, but now I'm starting to get that sort of V shape and starting to look good with my t-shirt off, even though I'm 60. So where are you at? Imagine if I said to you, right, tomorrow we're going to go and lift weights. I'll show you how to do it. I'll give you a bit of a session. Would you do it? Would you be interested? Most people can't be asked. Well, I don't want to be like that. And hopefully you don't too. Hopefully you get inspired. Maybe you're not going to do something today, but maybe you're thinking about it. Maybe you're thinking about lifting weights and starting to exercise and get rid of some of those bad habits. So when you're 60, not much is new in the food department. In the exercise department, imagine if you've never exercised much before in your life, but you're not necessarily chubby, but you haven't exercised much. Well, it's all got to change, doesn't it? How do you change? My motivation is really I get motivation from people around me. People around me that are old and shuffling, they've got dementia, they're grumpy, they're not looking after themselves, they don't care. I'm trying to avoid that like the plague. But imagine that. I just can't believe that to live a long, fulfilling life, especially after the age of 60, it's all in your control. It's what you eat, it's how much you exercise, how much you sleep. I reckon you're in total control or you're in denial. I've decided not to be in denial. And by the way, I don't get into my home gym and go, great, today I'm going to lift weights and be strong and fantastic. Today I'm going to get on the bike and go for a ride round the river. That just doesn't excite me. It doesn't excite me. And a bowl full of mashed potatoes and veggies, really? I don't like protein powder either, but I take it. I think it's a change of attitude. I think it's, if you really want things to happen, you've got to change your attitude, and that's what I've done. I get grumpy. I hate it. I hate exercise. I always have. I'm not that bothered by food so much. Some people are. Some people are connoisseurs of food. They love their food. And then there's also that little thing about drinking alcohol. Alcohol's really bad for you. I didn't realise how bad it was for you. And by the way, I drank for about 40 years. Even longer, 45 years. But I've given that away as well. So really, at the end of the day, this thing about dying, it's not really about being a goody two-shoes or just doing the right thing because everyone around you tells you should, or even me telling you. I've set a goal, and my goal is not to be frail, to be completely active. I mean, last night I was with a couple of young fellas, and we were running around the park, and then we ran up this hill. It was like really, steep hill. And I said, come on guys, I'll race you up the hill. So we ran up the hill, and I got up the hill, and I was like, no big deal at all. I wasn't huffing or puffing or dying. Woke up this morning, nothing. That's what I want to be when I'm 80. That's my goal. I don't want to have any old person, things creeping up on me. I might get stiff a little bit. I might get a little bit achy and a bit more grumpy. But I don't want any old person's carry-on, because it is a big bloody carry-on. See people walking around with these little walkers. Oh, really? Some of these people I see walking around in walkers, they're only 5 or 10 years older than me. I don't know their story, and I don't want to judge them or whatever, but I just don't want it for me. That's why I bring it up. And I'm not ready to die yet. I'm not afraid of death, but I'm just not ready yet. And I don't want it to be a slippery slope into a quagmire of ill health and awfulness. Because you know what it's like when you're sick. If you get really crook, then that becomes your life. That's what you have to deal with. I'd much rather deal with life than illness. So I'm not ready to die, and hopefully you aren't either. Stay sharp.